The room fell silent as the auctioneer's voice echoed through the hall. Under a single spotlight stood a German shepherd, limping, scarred, and trembling. Once, he'd served on the front lines, saving lives. Now he was just Lot 47. No one raised a hand. Not one. People looked away as the gavel hovered midair. Then, from the back of the room, a quiet voice broke the silence. "I'll take him." Every head turned in. No one knew his name. No one knew his story. But the moment that stranger reached out to the broken dog, two lives forever changed. The air inside the auction barn was thick with dust and disappointment. The hum of murmuring voices faded as a single spotlight flickered on, casting a pool of pale light over the center ring. There, trembling under the harsh glow, stood a German shepherd, his fur patchy, his hind legs slightly bent from an old injury. The auctioneer's voice boomed through the speakers. "Lot number 47, retired K9, excellent lineage, injury to left leg, but still strong." His words bounced off the wooden walls, but no one moved. The dog's name was Rex. Once, that name meant power, respect, and loyalty. Now, it was just a number. He lowered his head, tail tucked tight, eyes darting to the faces in the crowd, strangers who looked away. 500? 3. 2. Silence. Even the whispers died. The auctioneer sighed, lifting the gavel. Going once. Then, from the back corner, a voice cut through the quiet. "Low. Steady. I'll take him." Heads turned. A man in a worn coat stepped forward, face half hidden in shadow. His voice carried no hesitation, only quiet conviction. And just like that, the unwanted dog had found someone who finally saw him. The auction ended with murmurs rippling through the crowd. No one clapped. No one smiled. The man who had spoken, tall, broad-shouldered, with a worn brown coat and eyes that had seen too much, quietly approached the ring. He signed the papers with a trembling hand and simply said, "Name's Daniel Reeves." When the handler opened the gate, Rex hesitated. He looked up, ears twitching, expecting another command barked at him. But Daniel only knelt and whispered, "Easy, soldier. No one's gonna hurt you now." For a moment, time froze. Then, slowly, Rex limped forward. Outside, the air was cold and sharp. Daniel opened the truck door, patting the seat beside him. "Hop in." The German shepherd climbed in without a sound. No leash. No force. Just trust, the kind built not from training, but from understanding pain. The drive was silent except for the hum of the engine. Streetlights flashed across Daniel's face, revealing scars, faint but deep. He glanced at the mirror, where Rex's golden eyes stared back. "You've got fight left in you," he murmured by the time they reached Daniel's cabin on the edge of town. The world outside was quiet again, and for the first time in years, neither of them felt completely alone. Days passed in silence. The cabin, once filled only with the creak of old wood and the hiss of the fireplace, now carried the faint rhythm of paws across the floor. At first, Rex kept his distance, watching Daniel from corners, eating only when he wasn't looking. But Daniel never forced him. He simply left the door open, the bowl filled, and the fire burning warm. Little by little, the walls between them began to crumble. Daniel spoke softly while making breakfast, telling stories Rex couldn't understand, but seemed to listen to anyway. "I had a dog once," he said one morning, voice low. "His name was Hunter. Saved my life overseas. Didn't make it home." Rex lifted his head at the name, as if recognizing the ache behind those words that I in the evenings. Daniel sat on the porch, the horizon painted gold, while Rex rested by his boots, tail flicking in contentment. It was quiet, peaceful, but beneath it all, a connection grew that neither man nor animal could explain. Then one night, as the wind howled outside, Rex jolted up, growling toward the back fence. His ears pointed, his body stiff. Daniel frowned. "What is it, boy?" Rex's eyes glowed faintly in the darkness. Whatever he heard out there, it wasn't the wind. The night was unnaturally still. The moon hung low, pale light spilling across the frozen fields. Daniel lay half asleep in his armchair when Rex's sudden growl broke the silence. Deep, sharp, unrelenting. "Easy, boy," Daniel muttered, but Rex didn't stop. He stood rigid, eyes fixed on the window. Then headlights flashed through the trees, brief, blinding, gone. A black SUV sat idling on the dirt road. "No one ever came out here." Daniel's heart tightened. He grabbed his flashlight and stepped outside. "Who's there?" His voice carried through the cold, but no answer came. The SUV crept backward and vanished down the hill. Rex barked once, sharp, commanding, and darted toward the fence. Daniel followed, finding fresh tire tracks pressed into the mud. Someone had been there, watching. When he returned inside, a single envelope lay on his porch, no name, no address. Inside was a photo, Rex wearing a combat vest, standing beside soldiers. Across the bottom, stamped in red ink, were two words that made Daniel's blood run cold. Classified, Bravo Unit. He sank onto the steps, the wind howling through the trees. Rex sat beside him, pressing his head into Daniel's arm. The past they both thought was buried had just found them again. The next morning, Daniel drove straight to the old county records office with the photo in hand. The receptionist frowned at the classified markings, but pointed him to the basement archives. There, under a layer of dust, Daniel found what he wasn't supposed to see. A sealed report labeled K9 Program. Bravo Unit. Terminated. He broke the seal. Inside were photos of military dogs. Lean, focused, loyal. And among them, Rex. Notes described enhanced tactical conditioning, chemical augment trials. And one chilling line. Subject displayed trauma-induced aggression after exposure to field gas prototype. That Daniel's hands trembled. Rex hadn't failed anyone. Humans had failed him. Back at the cabin, he sat on the floor beside Rex, the folder spread open. "They used you," he whispered. Rex tilted his head, sensing the heaviness in his voice. Later, Daniel confronted the auction official. The man avoided his eyes. "You think I didn't feel bad? We were told to clear the dogs quietly. All decommissioned assets." "Assets?" Daniel snapped. "He's not a weapon. He's a soldier." The man's silence said everything. That night, Daniel looked at Rex by the fire. "They called you dangerous," he said softly, resting a hand on the dog's neck. "But I see the hero they tried to erase." Snow blanketed the forest as dawn crept over the horizon. Daniel stood by his truck, staring at the old military compound coordinates he'd found in the report. "One last mission, boy," he murmured. Rex wagged his tail, as if he understood. They drove for hours into the wilderness until they reached a rusted gate marked with a faded insignia, Bravo Unit. The facility was dead silent. Inside, dusty crates, shattered glass, and scattered files told a story of abandonment and secrecy. But when Rex began barking, Daniel followed him to a hidden steel door beneath the floorboards. Inside, boxes labeled evidence, old tapes, injection vials, and experiment logs. Daniel grabbed as much as he could, then froze as headlights flashed outside. Men in black uniforms stepped out, weapons drawn. "You shouldn't be here," one shouted. Rex growled low, standing between Daniel and the intruders. When the first shot rang out, Rex charged, fast, fearless, precise. He tackled one assailant as Daniel fired warning shots toward the others, by the time sirens wailed in the distance. The men were gone, the truth secured. Weeks later, news headlines read, "Veteran and K9 expose illegal military experiments. Operation Bravo leaked." At a small ceremony, Daniel knelt beside Rex as the sheriff pinned a medal to the dog's vest. The crowd clapped, cameras flashed, but Daniel whispered quietly, "At ease, soldier. You're finally free." Rex leaned into him. "A hero, home at last."